Hello, good afternoon, all of you gorgeous beings of light. Welcome to an afternoon edition of Superconscious Sundays. I am your host, Caryn Terres, and I am here for the next 30 minutes or so to share some superconscious wisdom with you as we work together to build new Earth and create a planet based in love, peace, harmony, unity, respect, and responsibility. And today's episode, we are going to be honoring our LGBTQA friends and family and seeing how we as members of the cis community can take a page out of their book and really truly connect to what this Pride Month is really all about. So we're going to be talking a little bit about history, talking a little bit about my own personal relationship with Pride Month, and then how we all can just, go beyond wearing rainbows and only thinking about how this subculture is experienced 1 month out of the year, and instead be able to bring a lot of their beautiful openness into the new earth that we're building, the new community that we're building of super conscious beings here on this planet. So I apologize for the raspy voice. I was up real late, or real early, whichever one you want to think. So we're gonna get through this. So this is just water. And let's go ahead and light our candle. Today we're lighting our candle in memory of any of our family members, friends in the community who have lost their lives just for being themselves and being truly authentic and not being accepted that way. We light it in hopes that more people across the world can be safe to come out and to love whomever it is that they want to love, and that there is support for them in that choice, in that honoring of their authentic self. And we light it just for the inclusivity that New Earth really stands for, that we can all be members of the same planet, that we are one human race under source, indivisible, with liberty and justice for everyone. So, lighting our candle for that intention, going ahead and grabbing our incense now. Kitty wants to be involved. So, weaving all of time and space together to create a beautiful vortex of ascension where spontaneous healing and growth and transformation can occur as we spend the next half hour or so together talking about how we can all change the world by showing a little bit more pride and taking a page out of the book from our LGBTQA community. So, what? I'm gonna burn myself. There we go. Perfect. Yes, we have Mr. Cosmo here. Come here, you. This is our newest family member. His name is Cosmos, Master of Space-Time. He's cute AF. But you're going to hear him meowing and running around today. So, I would love to start with a history lesson. And I'm sure by now you guys have figured this out, that I am a history nerd, I am an anatomy nerd, I am a science geek, and I am also extremely spiritual, extremely energetic, and kind of this weird hodgepodge of all of the ways that you can really choose to live your life authentically and not wear rose-colored glasses per se, but can actually look at some of the things that happen that are very hard to look at for many people, and do so with some with grace and with compassion, while also having the ferocity of understanding that there are injustices in the world. And as long as I have 2 feet to stand and 2 arms to fight and a heart that's beating, you know that I will be standing next to you until you have the equal rights that you are absolutely are your God-given rights for existing on this planet, and that is to have a positive life experience and to be accepted for who you authentically and truly are, without having to hide any piece of you. So, for those of you who might not know, like, why is Pride during June? Why is Pride Month June? Well, there's lots of reasons, but the biggest one that we have, that I always come back to and remember, is the fact that on June 28th, 1969, there was a police raid in Stonewall, New York, and the LGBTQ community, specifically black trans women, started having demonstrations against the police. So peaceful protests that turned into giant riots because the police were trying to evict these trans women out of their space that they'd been living in New York City. And that turned into a huge thing for about a week. There was huge violence going on in New York, and the people that really brought the gay community out into the spotlight were black trans women, right? It wasn't the white guy who's wearing the big rainbow flag and looking super fly and cute. It was women who were scared for their lives, because in 1969, there were no rights at all, that there were no protections, right? So then you go through the last 40 years, and how far have we come, right? It was 2015, that legal marriage between gay couples became national in America. That's only 6 years. So when we actually look at how much the LGBTQA community has had to fight for their rights just to be protected in things that straight people are protected by already, right? If my husband dies, then I have the assurances of my marital license that I get his life insurance, that I'm going to be the one who gets the house, that the children come to me. All of these things, just because I was born a woman and still identify as a woman, and he was born a man and identifies as a man, and we have a straight marriage, right? That means, that's it. But it's a monogamous straight marriage. All these things. We have all these containers, right? This is the way that it works. And there are still people out there that, even if they have a marriage license, all these things, as soon as their spouse dies, guess what? They're going through ridiculous court battles. They don't have the same rights. Maybe it's a lesbian couple who have children, but from previous straight marriages, and now all of the ex-husbands are coming in saying, oh, well, I have the rights to my children, when they haven't done jack shit for the last decade, and the lesbian couple was the one raising the kids, but as soon as one of them is gone, one of the men comes in and tries to say, oh, no, I'm the dad now, right? We tend to take this month and we only want to look at the bright side of it. We only want to see the rainbow polka dots, right? We only want to think about the beautiful flags. We only want to listen to the drag queens dancing on stage. We just want to go to the parade, right? But just like every other parade, the Memorial Day parade, all of the other parades, there's always a dark side to it. There's always the thing that people don't want to talk about, right? So I was raised in Utah. I remember very, very, very well in 2002, I believe, when Matthew Shepard was murdered in Wyoming. And at that time, I had a transgender minister who was the minister of my church, the Unitarian church I went to here in Salt Lake. So this is 2001, 2002, and I had a transgendered minister. His name was Sean Parker Dennison, and he had transitioned from being a woman to a man. And he was married to Lawrence, who was also a transgendered man. And I had a lesbian Sunday school teacher who was from New York. And I was surrounded by gay and lesbian couples and transgender couples every Sunday, right? They came over for dinner. They were part of the choir. It was something that I grew up in and had my own teenage years going through a little bit of an identity crisis because I have always been very androgynous. I've been way more of a tomboy. When I do dress up because I'm tall and have a lower voice, I often get mistaken for a drag queen. And these are things that I've had to just suck up, essentially. Not in that I'm offended, in a like, oh, okay, like, there are some really fucking beautiful drag queens out there, right? Thank you for the compliment. And without having to get defensive, right? A lot of people will get really offended and get really defensive if they get confused for being trans, if they get confused for being a lesbian, right? I'm an androgynous bisexual, so I hang out with a lot of people of a lot of different flavors, and we love each other, right? Love is something that was literally on the wall of my church every day that I drove past it, every Sunday. And every week we read this poem that I posted on the post yesterday when I was talking about today's live stream. And I'm going to read it for you today so that you can really understand, like, for me, this poem is what everything is about for me. It's what I do my businesses based on, what I raise my children around, how I'm going to be running for public office, when I run for Senate, and when I run for president, and when I stand in front of the United Nations. So just take a second, and I want you to really listen to these words. So this is a poem by Melanie Morel-Ensminger from the UUA, so the Unitarian Universalist Association. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter how you came here, if you came alone or with others, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcome here. We would read that every day, or every Sunday. Maybe not the whole thing, but a little kind of shortened version of it, right? You are welcome here no matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, no matter whom you love, how you speak, whatever your abilities. That is absolutely the foundation of New Earth, right? You get all of these hippies, you get all of these light workers, you get all of these people together who want to talk about energy work and want to talk about inclusivity and about fearless authenticity. And then you find, oh, well, you're not welcome if you don't believe in chakras like I do. And you're not welcome if you don't accept everyone. People don't accept people who don't accept other people, right? And there's all this fucked up, bigoted ridiculousness that I often see between people who claim to be grid workers, who claim to be New Earth builders. And what it is really comes down to this fear of judgment from the masses, which is something that the members of the LGBTQA community have had to fucking learn. They've had to learn it while they were battling their police officers, right? Same thing with the black community. It's been a year since George Floyd, right? How many people actually thought about that this week? How many people actually remembered that this week? I'm sure that many of the people in the black community remembered, but how many of you people in the white community remembered that? When you are a straight, cis, white person, and the world was built for you, and the patriarchy was built for you, guess what? you're gonna stop fighting sometimes. You're gonna just walk away and be like, well, my life is fucking good. I don't have to deal with that. I'm not dealing with bigotry. I'm not dealing with any of those injustices because the system was literally built for me. And then something will happen where you get confused as a drag queen in the grocery store. Or someone asks if your best friend that you gave a kiss to is your girlfriend. And all of a sudden you're like, excuse me, blah, blah, blah. I'm a straight white girl, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, all of that like love and support and conclusivity that you preach goes out the fucking window because you get so offended that someone dare consider you a member of a community that you claim to love, that you claim to appreciate, that you claim to want to include. But if someone were to confuse you for that, you would be fucking offended. And that's not fearless authenticities. Because fearless authenticity is understanding someone can mistake you for that and it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with that. Take it as a compliment. Like I said, there are some beautiful fucking drag queens out there. I take it as a damn compliment anytime someone confuses me, right? I've had friends who have gone through transition. My hairdresser that I had in my early 20s that would come here and do all of our hair went through transition, and we were teaching our children about that life. Like, Kip is here, and now Kip, he is transitioning to being Daphne, and she is this, and it took her 4 years to hormones and therapy and all of this to finally be able to get her vaginoplasty. Like, that is commitment to knowing her truth on the inside, that while she might have been born with a penis, she knew that she was a woman and did everything and gets catcalled and has to deal with that. Like, it boils my blood whenever something gets posted about one of my friends in the trans community or one of my friends in the gay community who have been bullied. They're being catcalled, they're being raped, they're being abused, and it's because the system is the one out there. Stonewall was literally fucking police officers trying to kick black trans women out of where they motherfucking lived. If this doesn't make you, I'm not saying it like boils my blood and I'm gonna go say fuck the police and defund the police. No, it makes me want to go run for office. It makes me want to go be a part of the system, because I'm sorry, you're never going to change the system from the outside in. It's always an inside job. Always. Look at history. There's always the rebels, and they always have a motherfucking cause, and they always infiltrate the ones in power and overtake it, Black Ops style. They don't do it by sitting in front of their mirrors, playing with crystals, rubbing essential oils all over their boobies, making sure that Ganesha moves all of the blocks out of the way. No, they take the fucking action. And they go do things that are scary. And they go do things that could end up dead. Right? First time I went to Pride Parade was 2000, maybe 1999. And there were, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people there. It wasn't very big. It was a long parade route, don't get me wrong, but there wasn't a lot. The P-flag parents for lesbian and gay, the P-flag parents for lesbians and gays, of lesbians and gays, right? So the parents of these lesbian and gay men and women, that group in Salt Lake City was pretty much the largest group. The mayor was not walking with us. There was no corporate sponsorships, right? It was all these small groups, P-flag, the Unitarian churches, the some of the smaller, bars or whatever, but it was really small in 1999. 3 years ago, Salt Lake City had the largest gay pride parade of the country, bigger than San Francisco, bigger than New York. Per capita, Salt Lake City has more gay people per capita than any other city in the entire country. So that might sound weird, like, well, it's Salt Lake City in the middle of Utah, but I've watched it grow. I've watched it grow to huge, huge portions. Now that's like a 3-hour fucking long parade. Forever long. Every group is huge. And now the biggest group is Mormons Building Bridges, which is a group of LDS Mormons who are supporting the gay people, the lesbian people, the LGBTQA community in their own community, trying to build the bridge, right? A lot of you might remember in 2017 when the LDS church came out saying that if you were a child of a gay or lesbian couple, then you couldn't get baptized into the church by the age of 8 or whenever. If your mom also had a wife, then you weren't allowed to get baptized. And that caused a mass exodus within the LDS church. Like a huge amount of people sent in their requests to be excommunicated, essentially, like withdrawing from the church records. So that is people who are looking at their faith and saying, no, you don't get to decide that because my sister loves a woman that her daughter doesn't get to get baptized, right? Or you don't get to decide that they don't have rights at all, right? The LDS Church was huge against Prop 8 in, 2008, 2009 in California, and that caused a huge uproar in our community of the non-Mormons of like, excuse you, why does this church get to decide this, right? How many people have died? Like, I really want you to think about this, and yeah, I get fired up about this, y'all. How many people have died because they were found out? They came out of the closet and then ended up being in a mysterious car accident, ended up getting shot at a bar, right? How many of them have committed suicide because they couldn't bear being gay because they knew that they weren't going to be accepted by their family? And how often have you sat in something, maybe you're not gay, maybe you're like me, maybe you're a cis white female, and the world pretty much works in your favor. The only way that everything would be better off for me is if I was my husband because he's the one with the penis, right? Yes, the American game, the Western game is absolutely rigged in the favor of the cis white males. Surprise, right? We call it the patriarchy for a motherfucking reason. But instead of the anger and the hatred that could go in there, why don't you want to change it? What is so scary? And it's always what's so scary, the fear of death. It's always the same thing. It doesn't matter what you think your fear is, at the bottom of it, you're afraid of dying. And that's something that I really, truly think that I am so grateful for the fact that I was raised in the Unitarian Church, and I did have a transgendered minister, and I did walk side by side and have to walk past the rioters and have them, like, throwing things and telling us how we were evil, and like literally the rioters, the protesters for the march, some years was bigger than the march itself here in Salt Lake. Our little parade walking by with all of our rainbows, and the rioters with their crosses and their signs and their proverbs and their "you're gonna go to hell" was a bigger group than the people watching the parade, than the people in the parade. And I knew something could happen, right? Anytime I've gone to a protest, there is a likelihood, there is not a very large one, but there is a percentage of a chance that I'm gonna get injured, that I'm gonna be killed. But why am I there? Because I am always willing to fight for and create what I value. And what I value is a planet in which all beings are accepted for who they are, no matter what. No matter whom you love, or how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome into this space. You are welcome into New Earth, because we love you and appreciate you more than just one fucking month a year. It's all the time. Right? If you're someone who's afraid of coming out of the closet because you know that your parents are going to disown you, baby, I'm your mama now. I'm your sister now. I'm your auntie now. Because I don't want anyone to go through that. I've watched it. I've seen friends be completely disowned by their families. I've seen families ripped apart because someone found out that, mommy's actually a lesbian, and then the ex-husband comes in and swoops in and takes the children. And it's ridiculous to me. It's absolutely ridiculous to me that so many of you are going to walk around with your rainbow flags, you're going to get drunk as fuck, you're going to party listening to RuPaul Drag Race, and you're not going to do shit once July hits. You're never going to look at the legislatures. Like, how many states in this country, even though it's a national law, still make it hard as fuck for anyone in the LGBTQA community to get married? A lot. There's fucking crazy hoops you have to jump through. Same thing with the abortion rights, right? Anything that you can consider of a socially liberal process, you're going to have those crazy conservative counties, those crazy conservative states where they don't have acceptance. They quote out of the Bible while simultaneously shooting you in the head. And it's filled with hypocrisy. And next week's live stream is going to be all about how we embrace the inner patriarch so that we can overcome the external patriarch. But this week is about how do we change the world with pride. How do we change the world by being able to take a play out of the handbook of those who stood during the Stonewall riots. For those who have defended for years. Like, this is 20 years that I've been going to Pride Parade. 20 years of knowing, and I'll be 33 this year. In 1999, I was 10, so 23 years of my life, more than 2/3 of my life, I've stood on the Capitol steps and spoken in protest against the fact that my best friends can't get married, that my Sunday school teacher would lose everything if her wife were to die because it wasn't legally acceptable. How much of their history is being covered up? How many even remember Matthew Shepard? How many remember any of the other ones? They get swept under the rug the same way that George Floyd gets swept under the rug. Because it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Because it's comfortable. It's comfortable for us to walk around once a month and pretend like we give a fuck. Well, once a year. And pretend like we care. And we can share the hashtags, we can do that, but how many of you are actually having conversations with your senators, with your legislature? How many of you know the laws in your city, state, country? How many of you are aware of where the funding is coming from? How many of you have actually donated any money to the local Pride Center instead of just going to Target and buying a rainbow outfit that's going to end up benefiting Target and Levi's, which is a those are huge, like, multi-billion-dollar corporations. They're totally the establishment. The reason why is everything's all covered in rainbow this month and everything's going to be covered in pink in October for breast cancer awareness is because the corporations and the establishment want you to think that you're doing good when all you're doing is just buying more of their capitalist bullshit. None of the money that went from, like, you buying that dress that says Happy Pride at Target, none of that money went to the local Pride Center, honey. None of it. The LGBTQA community is amazing at actually coming together in community. Where do you shop locally? Who are the businesses that you support? Who are the realtors? Who are the nannies, right? Where can you go that you can feel safe to leave your children, or to purchase your new home, or to look into retirement, or all of this, and know that you're not going to get fucked up or fucked over just because of your sexual orientation or gender orientation or whatever it is, the PC word for it now, right? Because of who you love or how you look. Even in somewhere like Thailand, where you can see it all the time, right? You see drag queens and kings walking around all the time. What are their rights? Are they just totally subculture, and yet underneath all of that they're having to pretend and play in these heteronormative relationships so that their children can have any sort of safety? Are their children at risk if they find out, if anyone were to find out that their dad was gay, would those kids get beat up? Right? This is not, it hasn't gone away. I know that we like to think it. We think, oh, well, from 1969 to 2015, we did great. Look at, now they can get married. Now they can do this. But not really. Not when you look at how many of the states have written in bullshit little things, who have little clauses here and there. The life insurance companies do it too. And yeah, it's fucked, and yeah, it shouldn't be legal, but guess what? It still exists. Why does it still exist? Because the cis white community doesn't give a fuck. Because like racism, it doesn't motherfucking affect us. Or so that's what the media would like us to believe. What the broadcast system would like us to believe. That if you're a cis white, straight, then go to Target, go to Starbucks, go do this. Pretend like you feel like you're doing something when all you're doing is continuing to feed the lobbyists who are fighting against the very same thing that your t-shirt stands for. Now, I know that this one was a little bit heavier, and that's okay, because that's what this world is like, guys. It can't be all dragons and mermaids and rainbows, maybe rainbows, all the time. It can't just always be about your Akashic records and your past lives. It can't always be about your childhood traumas. Sometimes you gotta look in the damn mirror and see where you are right now. How would you feel if someone came up to you in the market and said, wow, you are so beautiful for a guy? And you're standing there with two of your kids and you're wearing a summer dress. No, honey. No, honey. I don't have your water. Ask Leo for your water. Here, take my water and go. That door should have been locked. Come on. No. Don't let Shadow in. Shut it. Sorry, my daughter came in. I thought I locked the door. Do not let Shadow in. I've got the cat. Let him in. Or not let him in. Scoot out. Good job. Our dog still chases the cat. It's a thing. Right? So, today I want you to really sit with this. I'm not really going to keep going on, because I'm pretty sure I've hit this one pretty hard on the head already. When you can truly own those values that you sit there and preach, when you can really imagine what New Earth is, heaven on earth. Ooh, baby, do you know that that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Right? I talk about this all the time, living heaven on earth. And living heaven on earth really is about this idea of true love and acceptance, right? Peace, love, unity, respect, responsibility. Knowing your worth as an individual who gets to be welcome here, no matter whom you love, no matter how you speak, no matter your abilities, no matter the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin. None of that matters. But right now, it fucking matters. We need more of us. The people that are already going to get ins, right? As a cis white female, guess what? I'm going to be easier to get into some of those conferences. It's going to be easier for me to get closer to the senators, right? We need more black ops. We need more people that are willing to go, risk your life, because that's what happens when you run for public office. I'm sorry. Period. End of discussion. Senators get murdered just as often as fucking presidents do. Lobbyists, journalists, all of them do. but they're standing up and fighting for what they value. They're willing to die for a world that has the moral compass that they have inside already. So all of you out there that claim to be light workers, all of you out there that claim to be energy healers, all of you out there who claim to be children of the golden age, stand the fuck up. Go register for vote. Go register to vote. Go find out what the policies are in your city and in your state and in your country. Go find a community that you can go and support. What can you do at the Pride Center in your town? How can you support the local kids in the high school that don't know what to do because they know the second that their dad finds out they're gay, they're kicked off on the streets? How can you be just 2% more committed to the global change necessary for there to be heaven on earth for everyone? There are whole countries out there that if you come out as gay, you're dead. It's still legal to stone you to death. The same countries that are giving us most of the oil that's allowing for us to drive around in our Priuses. Well, I guess Priuses are not. You know what I mean? Drive around in our cars, right? It's so fucked. It is so fucked when you take a second to take off your own rose-colored glasses, to do some research on the hell the LGBTQA community has endured for the last 50 years since the Stonewall riots, and then even before. But there's not very much. You can't find a lot. You really can't. Mostly it's writers here and there that were willing to come out in their own journals or in their own diaries. But how many people outside of writers were also dealing with it just because they didn't write it down? When you take a moment and realize that pride isn't just about getting fucking drunk and wearing rainbows, and that it's actually a movement of inclusivity. It's a movement of love is love is love. And you are also someone who believes that new earth can be built in this lifetime, that we are building a new planet for our children, where love is love, where peace reigns, where unity consciousness is the way of being, then you better be getting your ass out there and doing some fucking work. Not just the work, not just your inner work, but go do something. That's your homework this week. How can you make your community just 2% better by actually stepping out of your house and going and taking a stand? Knowing that, yeah, your life is at risk anytime you do it. Anytime you pick up a protest sign, anytime you tweet on the internet. If it's not a full physical death, it's an ego death. So death is still involved. And the more you can get over that fear of dying, that's when you're going to finally be living. So I love you. I hope you've had a beautiful weekend. Thanks for joining me for this pretty intense topic. I appreciate you all. Please reach out if there's anything. Like I said, if you need a new auntie or a new mom or a new sister because you're not being accepted and loved within your family because of who you love, I'm your girl. I love you. Have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful week. And we'll talk soon.